Hey guys, it's Aman
and Christina
from
Our Rich Journey.
On today's video, we are going to show you guys a real estate strategy that we used to turn $20,000, which is a lot of money, into $400,000. We are going to show you step by step exactly what we did with the properties we used in this strategy, and I think you guys are really going to get a lot out of this.
Now, we've been investing in real estate in the last 15 years, but what we want to focus on are 3 specific properties. And the first purchase that we made began in 2013 when I was a law student and Aman was working full-time.
We used a specific strategy to make these purchases, which resulted in a huge profit at the end.
So step 1 is to buy an owner-occupied fixer-upper. Now, when we looked for properties, we were looking for properties in really great neighborhoods, but that had properties that were sort of a bit of a dump in these great neighborhoods. And the reason why we were looking for owner-occupied is because we could apply for an FHA loan when purchasing the house, which meant that we had to pay less as a down payment on the property. After looking for months and months and months, we finally came across this home. It was a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house, and as you can see, it's not ideally staged. The home was fairly dark, even though it had a ton of windows. The furniture was old, and the kitchen, what a lot of potential homeowners place a priority on, wasn't laid out well and seemed really cramped.
We bought the fixer-upper owner-occupied using an FHA loan, putting 3.5% down. The purchase price was $460,000. With closing costs, we paid $20,000 upfront out of pocket. Our mortgage payment with principal, interest, tax, insurance was $2,500 a month.
Now, our monthly payment was $2,500 a month, and when I graduated from law school and began working, we used my income to throw extra money down on the principal of the mortgage. Now let's move on to step 2, which is living in the house, rehabbing it, and adding value to the house. Now for the first 3 weeks, we didn't move into the house because there was a lot of work to be done. So Aman took off 3 weeks, and during the day and night, during all those 3 weeks, he was working on the property. And at night, when I wasn't in class, I would come in and work on the property also. Now, we've actually gotten comments on some of our other real estate videos about how did we learn how to rehab our properties. There are a lot of details going into that, so we're gonna create a separate video to explain how we learned how to do this whole process, but I will tell you this was our first massive renovation project that we did on our own. In total, over the course of 1 year, we spent approximately $10,000 on rehabbing the property ourselves. We demolished the kitchen, designed a completely new layout for the kitchen, and completely refurbished it. We also took out built-ins, we installed new flooring, we added crown molding and new baseboards, we painted the entire interior of the house, we redid the landscape, and we built a chicken coop.
So now we're to step 3, refinance. After we had done this renovation, our home was beautiful, and we knew that when we went to refinance it, it would appraise for a lot more than what we purchased it. I mean, the other homes in our neighborhood were selling for a lot higher than what we got ours for, but those homes were all fixed up. Now our home was on that same level. So when we went to refinance it, our home appraised for $600,000. That's $140,000 more than what we paid for it.
And now just to be clear, we really only put in about $10,000 of work into this property. And by investing $10,000 into the property and doing primarily almost all of the work ourselves, we came out with a property that was worth $140,000 more than what we bought it for less than a year ago.
Yeah, people don't believe us when we tell them we only put $10,000 worth of work into it. But I'm telling you, we did all of the work ourselves, and all of the material that we used was reused material. We got things on discount that you wouldn't believe, and we're gonna do a whole video on that. But just know, when we say we only spent $10,000, oh, we only spent $10,000.
So now step 3 isn't just about refinancing, it's about refinancing and then using that equity to purchase a new property. So let's look at the property that we purchased after refinancing the home.
So when we went to refinance our house, we did what's called a cash out refi, and we took that additional money to find our next property, which was a studio. And we purchased this studio after we looked for a long time to find this place, but it cost $245,000.
Step 4 is to fix up the property, increase its value, and then rent it out. Now this was a studio, so there wasn't a huge amount of stuff that we wanted to do to it, but there were certain things that we did to increase its value.
So to fix it up, we installed a new stove, new ceiling fan, new blinds, and we did minor bathroom work. We also painted the entire studio. The numbers worked like this. Purchase price $245,000. Out of pocket $55,000 plus $2,000 in materials to fix it up. Our mortgage payment with principal, interest, tax, insurance, and HOA was $1,500 a month. That also included a small portion of money that we put aside for maintenance.
Now, what was really special about this studio was that it was right in the heart of a perfect neighborhood. It had public transit right next to it, and it also had a grocery store next to it and a lot of local mom and pop shops. It was very walkable, and it even had a farmer's market that would come once a week near the property.
So because this studio was like in a really desirable neighborhood, everyone wanted to be there, we were able to rent it for $1,950.
Now, because the rent was $1,950 and our monthly payments were $1,500, we were able to get a positive cash flow on this property of $450 a month. So let's go on to step 5, which is to refinance the properties or to take money out of the properties and use that to buy another purchase, another fixer-upper rental property.
Now, we could have taken this money out of the studio because like we said, we were buying this studio below market and we had already put 20% down. And we knew that if we went to appraise it, it would appraise for a lot more. But what we did is we actually went back to our primary residence and took out the additional money to buy the next investment property.
After taking out the money from the first house, we were able to use that to purchase a 2-bedroom, 1-bath condo that had been sitting on the market for a really long time.
Yeah, this place was sitting for a long time because the person that lived there was really, I would say they were a hoarder. I mean, there's no other way to say it. A very nice person, but every time someone would come to the house, they would be turned off by the way the house looked. So as an investor, it was a dream come true to see a house in this situation that people had turned away from time and time again. Because we knew that this was just superficial. We knew that once the woman had moved out, we could fix up the house and make it amazing. And that's exactly what we did.
So we purchased this condo for $360,000. Out of pocket, we paid $80,000 and then an additional $5,000 in materials to fix it up. And fixing it up, we put in new kitchen countertops, we refurbished all of the cabinets in the kitchen, put in new hardware, we put in a new kitchen sink, a new garbage disposal, we put in new ceiling lights throughout the property. We put in new flooring throughout the unit. We did a complete bathroom rehaul. We did new paint on the entire unit, and then we put on new doors.
So after we fixed up this condo, we had another crazy thought. We had done such a great job on it that we thought, why don't we move into this condo and rent out our house? And we actually did a video on this, on how we downsized. And by downsizing, we were able to save a lot of money because our house in that neighborhood could actually rent out for a lot more.
So by downsizing out of the house and moving into the condo, we were able to put our house on Airbnb and VRBO, and we were able to generate $7,000 a month in income because of that. Let's go back to the numbers on the house. Our mortgage and all our other payments associated with that cost $2,500 a month. When we placed the property on Airbnb and VRBO, we were averaging a monthly rental income of $7,000 a month. This meant that we were cash flowing $4,500 a month. After we moved into our 2-bedroom, 1-bath condo and made such a great income off of Airbnb on our house, we thought that we wanted to do another Airbnb property. Now, the thing with condos though is that typically you can't Airbnb the property. So what we needed to do was to move into a house that would allow us to Airbnb properties and make money from that.
So we're kind of expanding the conversation right now, all right? We want to focus more on the real estate transactions that we did, the buy and sell. But this was a big part of our success, was that when we were in this 2-bedroom, 1-bath condo, we actually moved out of it into a rental property. And in that rental property, there was a house. It had a granny flat in the back. And so when we were living in this rental property, we made a deal with the owner that we could also put the granny flat in the back of the house on Airbnb. So that, for us, was an amazing deal because with all of these properties generating income that we owned, and then this rental property that was also generating income, we were actually living rent and mortgage free. In fact, we were at this point cash flowing.
So let's do the numbers really quick on the 2-bedroom condo. With a mortgage, principal, interest, tax, insurance, HOA, and an additional amount of money for maintenance, it was $2,000 a month. When we moved out of the 2-bedroom condo, we were able to rent it out for $2,850, which was a positive cash flow of $850 a month.
So between all 3 properties, we were cash flowing $5,800 a month. But it was not an easy cash flow. I mean, Airbnb is actually a very intensive process. And so it was something that we knew that it wasn't necessarily sustainable. Like, we probably could have done it for years and years and years. But what we were waiting for, and it came a lot sooner than we thought, was for the market to appreciate. And in the San Francisco Bay Area, it had gotten to a point where we thought the market was really high. And for us, it was a point where we thought we could sell. And that's exactly what we started to do.
So the first property that we sold was the house. And the reason why we sold this first was because it was the property that we were Airbnb-ing, and it took a lot of effort to do Airbnb. So we ended up selling the house for $700,000, which is $240,000 more than what we purchased it for.
The next house we sold was the 2-bedroom, 1-bath condo. We sold it for $450,000. And we made a profit of $90,000.
And finally, we sold the studio last. We sold it for $315,000, which was $70,000 more than we purchased it for.
So with our initial investment of $20,000, because of appreciation and the principal paydown that our tenants were making, we were able to profit more than $400,000.
Real estate differs from market to market, so we were really fortunate to be in the market at the time we were and in the area that we were at. But we think that applying this plan that we used really made us successful.
So that's our real estate story. I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions. We could only go over so many details in this video. But if you do, please leave a question in the comments and me and Christina will definitely answer those questions. We love getting your questions, and this is one of those real estate investment stories that is gonna have a lot of questions. So if you've liked this video, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and join the journey.